You know that feeling, right? When some relationships have this incredibly intense, almost magnetic pull. That feeling when breaking away from someone, even when you know it's for the best, it feels physically painful, almost impossible. It turns out this isn't just about your heart. It's a really deep question about your brain chemistry.
So let's just get right to it and ask the big question. Can you actually be addicted to a person? Well, according to neuroscience, the answer is a fascinating and kind of complicated yes. And this isn't just a metaphor, you know? The experience is literally rooted in the exact same neural pathways that are involved in other kinds of addictions.
So researchers have a name for this. They call it a social addiction. It's basically a state of overdependence where a relationship completely hijacks the brain's core machinery. You know, the parts responsible for reward, emotion, and motivation. To really get how this works, we need to pop the hood and take a look at what's going on inside our own heads.
Okay, let's dive into the science. And we're going to start with the good part, right? That incredible, euphoric feeling of connection, especially when a relationship is new or just feels super rewarding. I mean, why does it feel so good? Well, it feels amazing for a very specific reason. Your brain is getting absolutely flooded with powerful chemicals, and the big one here is dopamine. This isn't just a vague feeling, it's a real biological event. It's a powerful reward signal that's basically telling your brain, yes, this is fantastic, let's get more of this, please. So, the team responsible for this incredible high is your brain's reward system. Think of it like this. You've got the VTA, which is the dopamine factory, just pumping out the good stuff. Then you have the nucleus accumbens, which is the pleasure center, the part that actually gives you that feeling of euphoria. You also have the caudate nucleus. That's the engine that drives you to crave more. And the insula, which processes all the intense emotions tied to the whole experience. Now check this out. This is where it gets really wild. What's so startling here is how unbelievably similar these two brain scans are. On the left, you've got a brain in the first throes of intense romantic love. And on the right, the brain of someone with a drug addiction. They are almost identical. And look specifically at the caudate nucleus, that craving engine we just talked about. It's lit up like a Christmas tree in both scenarios. Your brain is literally pushing you toward that person with the same force that it pushes someone toward a substance.
But of course, that amazing high is only half the story. The other half is all about what happens when this incredibly powerful reward system starts to overrule our better judgment. It's like the CEO of your brain just gets taken offline. And this brings us to this epic battle happening between two parts of your brain. In one corner, you've got the prefrontal cortex. That's your logical brain, the CEO, the long-term planner. And in the other corner, you have the reward system, which just wants that dopamine hit right now. In these kinds of overdependent relationships, the communication line between them gets really weak. The feeling brain starts shouting down the thinking brain, and that's exactly why judgment gets impaired and it feels almost impossible to resist that pull, even when a part of you knows it's not healthy. And as if that weren't enough, your brain's alarm systems go into total overdrive. Your amygdala, that's your fear center, becomes hypersensitive to any little sign of rejection. And the anterior cingulate cortex, which is the part that processes the emotional pain of being left out, well, it creates that deep, gut-wrenching ache that feels an awful lot like physical withdrawal from a drug. So let's see how all of these different pieces build on each other to create this powerful, self-reinforcing loop, this neurochemical cycle. This is the true engine of the addiction, and it's what explains why simply walking away can feel like the hardest thing in the world.
And this just illustrates that cycle perfectly. First, you get the high, right? Your partner gives you validation or closeness, and boom, a dopamine surge. Then, inevitably, comes the crash. Some conflict or distance causes that dopamine level to plummet, which leads to intense anxiety and pain. And that crash creates this powerful, desperate craving, where your brain is basically screaming at you to go back to your partner, the source of the drug, to make the pain stop and get another fix.
This quote really it captures the heartbreaking paradox of this whole thing. Let that sink in for a second. The brain becomes wired to seek comfort and relief from the exact same person or relationship that is causing all the distress in the first place. It's a perfectly designed trap.
So, after seeing all this machinery at work, the reward circuits, the compromised judgment, that painful withdrawal cycle, how should we really think about this whole experience?
If you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Feeling trapped in a relationship like this is not a sign of weakness. It's not a character flaw. It is a predictable, powerful, and deeply human response that's rooted in the fundamental wiring of our brains. It's about chemistry, not character.
You know, understanding the brain science behind this doesn't just explain the problem, it also opens the door to so much compassion. It can change how we view our own struggles and the struggles of other people too. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. Knowing that this is how the brain actually works, how does that change the way we approach connection, dependency, and ultimately, healing?